Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the morning show. We missed you guys. We missed you on Thursday. We missed you on Friday. Hope you all had a very enjoyable July 4th weekend. Hope you got some sun, got outside, ate some good food, spent time with the family, the friends, whatever. Great weekend, but we're back in the saddle. Let's see what's going on today. We got crypto. We got to talk about crypto. It is an interesting weekend there. So I'm sure that'll be on the guys' minds today. They also have some charts on their list that I know they want to get to, so we'll do that as always. What's on my list today? Not a whole lot. Maybe we'll talk Boeing. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of Boeing today. They had some news over the weekend. And then our guest, first, David Cox will be on the show at 9 o'clock. He's from Raymond James. JC specifically requested get David Cox on the show a few weeks ago, so that's what I did. We'll have Ian Cully on the show at 9:30. We'll have Kenny Glick stop by for a few minutes as always, and that's the plan. So what up, chat? How we doing? Everyone's here. They're ready to trade, ready to make money. So are we. Lego.
All right, we're here. We out here. Can we talk about how Louis thought it was Thanksgiving last week? Louis wrote this whole blog post about like how giving thanks is so important. People are like, yo, Louis, what country is it Thanksgiving in? Because you know how like Canada has their Thanksgiving and everything.
Wait, I'm stupid because I thought he was referring to like an actual Thanksgiving.
I know. He's like, wait a minute. Americans don't eat hot dogs on Thanksgiving? It's like, no, bro, we eat turkeys.
That was classic.
That was a good one. Shout out, Louis. See, I talked to Louis because Louis's mornings are evenings. By the time I talk to Louis, I'm exhausted, right? So it's like 4 o'clock, long day, ready to take care of kids, right? And Louis like, oh yeah, I just woke up. I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to go for a hike before I get to work. I'm like, this motherfucker.
He should move.
I can't be mad at him. I'd be doing the same thing.
He should move to Colorado because the hikes that him and Sean could go on,
I know,
just be epic.
I know. Well, listen, we haven't spoken at least live on air since Wednesday.
I feel like we took a vacation.
Who took a vacation?
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Shall we, Mr. Israel?
Oh, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dow futures this morning up a tad bit, up 60 points on the Dow futures, just under 39,800. S&P futures are flat, up a couple points, 5,600 and a quarter. New all-time highs last week. I've studied downtrends and bear markets my whole life. New all-time highs are just not something you see a lot in bear markets. NASDAQ 100 futures up again, also closing in new all-time highs, well above 20,000. 20,635 for the NASDAQ 100 futures. Wow. 30-year bond futures down this morning slightly, just above 118. Crude oil futures down 0.5%, just under $83, hanging in there. Copper flat on the day, 465. Gold down 70 bips, 23.80 for gold. Silver down 1.25%, 31.25 for silver, hanging in there very nicely with the volatility index still under 13. And of course, over in the old funny money, Bitcoin. What a weekend for Bitcoin, up 2.25% this morning. That's 1,200 points, back above 57,000 for BTC. Ethereum back above 3,000, up 4% this morning, up 120 points. So Ethereum now 30.50. Solana hanging in there, up 7%, 140 for Solana. Binance barely hanging on to 500. What a piece of hot garbage that thing has been, losing 200 points real quick. Up 5% this morning. That's 24 points. Total crypto market cap, Spencer Israel, 2.06 trillion.
I was bracing for it to not start with 2.
Up 6 billion on the day. 6 billion.
Yeah. So, you guys are kind of alluding to what I would
Oh,
call.
excuse me. Sorry, up 60 billion.
Right. So I think you guys
Right.
are alluding to with the price action in crypto, what I would call like inflection point volatility.
Yeah.
Right. We talk about this a lot. You tend to see the short-term rate of change spike in both directions at key turning points. Right. And you could do it across different time frames too. But when that short-term rate of change, you could use a 1 day on a daily chart, starts to spike, and you see, best day of the year, worst day of the year, one of the best days of the year, one of the worst days of the year. Typically, you're at some sort of turning point in the trend. And I think maybe these guys are finally digging in and building out a little tradable low here, some sort of bottom to trade against. These are not tops. These are still not tops, any of them. Look at the 4 big ones. None of them are tops. The Bears can't take control, JC. They've had a million chances. They can't get it done.
I got Strazza in my head. I'm watching these whipsaws over the weekend. I'm like, Strazza is salivating right now.
I was active.
I'm like, Strazza of anybody has pounded the table for years now. How before these rippers, you usually get that shakeout.
Yeah.
Usually get that false move. And I'm wondering all weekend, is this what Strazza's always talking about? I have a chart here that I'd like to share. This is slide 7.
Look at those.
And by the way, we are moving forward. Crypto Fridays. We didn't have a Crypto Friday, so I guess this is that. Pepe the Frog, a little bear trap here, Strazza, at $3.7 billion frog coin.
So a couple things, right? Like when you zoom in here, it's a big level. Solana looks the same. A lot of them look this way, right? So it is a polarity zone. Look at the wicks here, right? So I'm talking about the short-term volatility in both directions where you have a big hammer candle and then a big up day and then a bearish engulfing day, engulfing the whole day's prior action. They're really battling it out here. But again, this speaks to how the bears just can't take it. That's those long lower shadows. They're testing the waters down there and then demand keeps coming in. So I think we're getting close to something here. And I think the price action this weekend, Brian Shannon's been saying we need a washout. We had somebody on the show last week, I forget who it was saying, washout would be nice. I don't know if you could call it a washout, but these things got killed. What was it, Saturday? And then reversed it again. So it's,
This does look a lot like Solana, which is why I brought it with me today. I got one more for you that might not be on your radar. This one's showing a ton of relative strength, lady. Throw up the Billy.
What is this?
Billy on pace to close at a new all-time high today. This is this is one of the newer Solana dog coins. The relative strength is off the charts.
Yeah, I like this. These Solana coins are fun. I'm trying to get involved.
Who let the dogs out?
Yeah. Who knew? I mean, who knew Solana meme coins would be the relative strength this cycle?
Is that evidence of risk appetite or is that evidence of risk aversion for the space, out of curiosity?
I mean, it's not indicative of positive animal spirits, right? I don't know what you really make of it, but it's one of those things where you have to say, well, not bearish if they're running the Solana dog coins.
Doesn't seem bearish to me.
Yeah. I mean, I wish breadth was better, but we talk about that on here pretty often. There's too many of these things. Most of them are going to be zeros. So breadth will probably be bad for a long time, especially if you expand your universe. The bigger you make your universe, the worse your breadth is going to look for crypto.
All right, can we get back to TradFi now? We skipped Crypto Friday, so we did a little Crypto Monday action. No big deal. I think we're all agreeing a little too much here. Let's throw up slide 2. I think this is a good one. Back to the consumer. I don't know if you heard, Mr. Strazza, but I am told that this is a consumer-based economy. Can you school us a little bit about what that means exactly?
Yeah, and somebody just asking about the Solana trade. Yeah, if you're buying against support at 130, Solana's average drawdown in a bull market is like 50%, 50% plus. So you need a bigger cushion than $8 if you're entering at 130. But also, my Solana position, I'm just not going to get shook out. It wouldn't be at 122. It wouldn't be at 110. Probably wouldn't even be at 100. My cost basis is probably in the 40s. So I can be patient and allow for some big drawdowns. And that's how you want to treat cryptos. Because if you're investing in a bull cycle in crypto, you're going to wear a 50 or 60% drawdown at some point. So Amazon looks great. What does that mean?
Hold on.
So I just want to say.
What does that mean, consumer-based economy? What does that mean?
America.
But why do they say
Sure.
America's a consumer-based economy? And like what? Like Mexico isn't, or like Denmark isn't? Like I'm asking. This is a legit question.
You have consumer, right? You have business, you have government, 3 different like sectors of the economy. So we're a consumer economy. Like the majority of our GDP is driven by consumer spending.
Got it. And then other countries is not like that?
Yeah, we're not even exporting much shit these days either. So just, the
So
American.
like what's Denmark?
Well,
I mean, I hate to
I
keep
don't know.
harping on Denmark, or Mexico, or
I don't know.
South Africa.
Well, there's more money to be spent here on the consumer, JC.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe on a percentage basis, I don't know.
70% of GDP, somebody's quoting that. It's huge. That sounds right.
And that's just not the case in other countries. I'm ignorant here.
Well, there's
on this
more
stuff, so
wealth.
these are
There's
legit
more wealth
questions.
here.
More money
Therefore,
going down.
more
We
spending.
buy
More spending. So like it's saying Germany, for example, consumer spending in Germany is what percentage of GDP?
I mean, come on. What kind of question is this? Ask ChatGPT. I don't know.
I don't know. You would know this better than I would.
I would imagine it's similar, right? That's another developed country.
So
also
with
just a lot
Amazon,
smaller than us.
with Amazon doing nothing for 4 years, literally nothing.
Can I?
Consumer discretionary has been a big underperformer, right? So if we are to get rotation back into consumer discretionary, and this is a bull market, theoretically, if this was a bull market, you would think that money would be rotating into consumer discretionary, and perhaps a little scoop and score here, a little scoop.
I just want to say, yeah, I'm with it. I like this. I think things are improving for this group. Also, your note this morning was fantastic. We'll have to send it to the hot corner list. Also, I thought the way that you explained why we don't care about Jeff Bezos selling Amazon stock while it breaks out to new all-time highs was fantastic.
You like that? Did you like the Kendrick quote there? Mix a little culture in there. You like that?
I was okay with that. That was fine.
You okay, Spencer?
Yeah.
Is that
I preemptively cringed. I was like, wait, why is JC talking about Jeff Bezos selling his stock? But then I judged the book. I judged the email by its subject. And then after I read it, I was like, oh, okay. Whew.
It was perfectly said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just let's go over a couple of these quickly. So Bezos is selling $5 billion worth of Amazon stock, and Pikers think that that's a lot of money. And it might be a lot of money to you, and it certainly would be to me, but you and me don't matter. $5 billion represents approximately 2.5% of Jeff Bezos's $187 billion position, which represents 87% of his entire net worth. Yeah. So he is lowering his position to only $182 billion worth of Amazon stock. You're telling me that's bearish.
And it's even more than just the fact that it's relatively small, to him. It's also crazy not to sell.
Right.
What's his total net worth?
I'm surprised he's not selling more.
So of his like 250 billion net worth, you said like 190 is Amazon stock?
215 billion net worth, 187 is Amazon stock.
It's too much. It's way too much. So
the fact that he's only selling 5, if anything, that's bullish.
Yeah, and listen, the stock's breaking out to new all-time highs. It's not like he's betting on a failed breakout or something. The stock looks great. Like you said, consumer discretionary, turning it around. You want to be in the biggest stocks. That's been what this bull market's been all about, right, since it began. So if we rotate in the discretionary, who's going to lead it? Tesla, Amazon.
Have you seen the price of mega yachts these days? Like,
no,
they're not cheap. So
I see mega yachts. I see them all the time. I don't know what people are spending on.
If you're like me and you're regularly shopping for these mega yachts, you'll have a front row seat to the inflation in mega yachts. It's really scary. I know how hard it is to be wealthy these days.
They're expensive to fix. They're a headache, those boats. I know I have friends, their boats go like away to get fixed and they're gone for like 8-10 months. I don't even know what goes on. Insurance always seems to be a nightmare. I hear all these terrible stories about insurance.
People think it's so easy being filthy rich. Like it's like, just like a walk in the park. It's not. Look at the chart of Ferrari. Look at the chart of Ferrari. They're telling me the consumer is dead. JC, the consumer
Oh.
cannot afford anything.
Oh, this is good. This is a point I could push back on. What? First of all, where are you hearing this? The economy's fine. No one's saying the consumer's dead. That was
They tell me every day. They tell me every day on the Twitter.
Bullshit. That was last year's narrative.
Nope. Every day they tell me. They tell me on the internets.
I don't know. Are you hearing it, Spencer? Should we listen?
I think as a general rule of thumb,
unemployment is skyrocketing.
Well,
this is unsustainable. Inflation is taking over.
In regards to the unemployment thing, it did tick up. Skyrocketing is a big stretch, but it is going up. But I think as a general rule of thumb, most people don't really know how the quote unquote economy is doing. And however they're doing is what they think of the economy. So if you're struggling, you assume the economy is struggling too. If you're doing well, you assume everything is fine. I think that's generally how things go.
Dude, the job market is still so hot. The unemployment rate should go up. The unemployment rate needs to go up.
That's right. Low unemployment is inflationary. So we need people getting fired. We need people losing their jobs. That would be good for the economy.
You can see it. You can pay attention. Like you see it in different places. There's too much, what do you call that? Slack? Is that the operative term for it? Too much labor market slack?
Yeah.
Too much slack. Yeah. It's sloppy out there. Sloppy out there.
JC wants to talk about the economy. This is what is referred to as satire, you see. I have another one here. Here's Ferrari overlaid with the consumer discretionary sector. And like, listen, I'm no like PhD in mathematics, but they seem to be moving together. They go up together, they go down together, they go back up together, they go down together, they go back up together.
Doesn't mean they can't diverge.
That doesn't mean they can't diverge. Ferrari continues to be a leading indicator for the consumer.
I feel like you favor discretionary stocks lately. You noticing this, Spencer?
It's paying very well for me.
He wants consumer stock lists, these special, retail brand consumer universes. He's talking all about this relative strength from a cap-weighted consumer discretionary index. Won't stop about the Tesla. Now we're on to the Ferrari.
Yeah, I was going to say Tesla. Right, you beat me to it.
I don't know. You're really into this group right now.
Well, I could take my profits and go buy a Tesla. Right. Not quite a Ferrari with that trade, but a Tesla definitely. So it's not that I'm all about it. It's that it's working. And, I don't know if you heard, but asset prices trend. And these trends have been shifting up, you see. So remember how I kept pointing out the weakness in the consumer discretionary sector for so long.
Yeah.
And the market was under pressure during that period. And now the consumer discretionary space has not been under such pressures. And I think that bodes well for the broader markets, just like when discretionary was under pressure, that was a negative for the broader markets. So yeah, that's why.
I will continue to push back and point out that breadth has been really bad in the discretionary sector. And I'll pose you a question. One sector for the rest of the year, financials or discretionary? Both of them really starting to show signs of life, waking up a bit. Both charts look pretty good right now.
You know what? How JC feels about discretionary, that's how you are, Steve, about the banks. You are the same way.
Yeah.
No, because the banks that he's liked have been working. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, some of these others, they've been working. Discretionary just started working. It's different.
All right, so
Strazza's been pounding the table on the financials that have been working, which were not the regional banks. It was the big money centers, and he nailed it. He was spot on.
So your vehicles are XLF or XLY. I think you're ultimately making a bet. Who are going to be the better stocks in the back half of the year? Is it going to be the big banks or is it going to be Amazon and Tesla? Right? I don't think it's an easy question. I think both.
I mean, it's probably consumer discretionaries just because they have further up to go.
They have higher beta too.
They have higher beta. Yeah. Amazon's the biggest component. It's breaking out of a 4-year base.
If
Berkshire
Tesla,
Hathaway is the biggest component of financials. It's already been working for a while now. So,
listen,
like, simply for that reason, it's not that I don't think financials go higher. In fact, I think they do. It's really for that reason. It's more of a catch-up situation. Like, if you're going to put a gun to my head, and ask me which one I prefer, even though it's silly because that's not the way we do things around here, but just I'll play along. Yeah, I think discretionaries outperform.
I think if Tesla heads back to those old highs, you really can't beat it. XLY.
I think Tesla gets back to those all-time highs and then breaks out and then triples from there again.
Yeah.
I think that's the risk. And investors are just not there because, they don't like Elon, or it's a scam, or it's not really a car company, or whatever it is that, whatever it is they say these days.
And to be clear, I'm not trying to suggest that anybody should use these, as vehicles to express a bullish thesis on either of these groups. I'm just trying to have some fun out here. And you could have some fun with me every now and then.
One more thing that I wanted to point out is the Jefferies and Piper both making new all-time highs. Throw up slide 2. Jefferies and Piper making new all-time highs. FYI, outperforming Goldman Sachs in the second quarter, outperforming Goldman Sachs year to date. Strazza, these developments don't strike me as bearish for the overall market if Jefferies and Piper Sandler are breaking out of multi-year basis to new all-time highs.
Yep. And this is an easier trade, financials. The reason I keep bringing them up, right? They all look this way. Of course, they don't all look this way, but go look through your capital markets list. You're going to see a ton of charts that look like this, just now breaking out above their prior cycle highs, right? Like across the board. Internals look great in financials. No one ever considered these stocks my whole career. No one talks about these companies. There's a ton of them too. And they all look fantastic. I think you could play all these charts against the prior cycle highs. Pick your leaders. I'm in Hercules Capital, TradeWeb.
Hercules.
Yeah. But look, a ton of them look good. I saw a chart came across my desk this morning, Moelis & Co. That looks good too.
Moelis & Co.?
Yeah, you know Moelis.
Do I?
I think so.
What's Moelis?
Everybody knows Moelis now from that viral video, which is just terrible.
Can you school me? I don't know what you're talking about.
Moelis & Co. It's a big New York City-based finance firm.
They got those there, I heard.
Yeah.
Can you throw up Sweet Greens? Speaking of consumer discretionary stocks doing so well, you got that Sweet Greens?
Yeah, this is one.
You ever eat there? You ever go there?
No, we had a Chopped where I was in Greenwich for a while, in Stanford too. Not many Sweet Greens. Chopped were all around though. A similar concept, I believe.
So this one, $3 billion, one of those like California tree hugger, healthy greens, vegan places.
Listen, I like a salad every now and then.
I love salads, man.
I'm good with it. I'm gonna make.
I really do enjoy a good salad. Yeah. Seriously, I love salads. I really do. Like all kinds of salads. Yeah. I might not look it, but I really do enjoy them.
What's the best salad?
I like a lot of different salads, and it depends what else I'm doing for dinner. But I really like those Asian salads.
Yeah.
It's
talking about a little mandarin orange in there.
A little mandarin orange in there. Yeah, oh yeah. Little crispies, little fried wontons in there, maybe some chicken. Maybe like some kind of like sesame ginger.
Oh yeah, you freak. That sounds great. Yeah.
Right? Nice glass of champagne to go with that. Maybe a nice Chenin Blanc. You know what I'm saying?
I'm a sucker for a good Caesar. What's the wine that you would pair with a Caesar?
You gotta go White Berg all day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, white Burgundy if you're gonna go with Caesar, or champagne. Champagne goes really well with Caesar. Champagne goes well with a lot of things, but Caesar salad and champagne. Not to keep coming back to the champs, but champagne, especially if you're gonna do let's say I'm at a steakhouse and I want a Caesar salad, little guy, sweat the beak a little, and then I'm gonna go hard, and I'm bringing the Bordeaux. So I'll order a glass of champagne, brut, and then get the Bordeaux, get it going already. Open that sucker up, and I'll drink my champs with my salad. And then I'll have the Bordeaux ready to go.
I like it.
Because, especially in my early years, I would just go full send, bring the Barolo, and now here I am with like a Hamachi, you know, with Ponzu, with a Barolo. Oh, terrible.
Switch it up.
You got to think ahead of what you're doing here, you know. Tough lessons I had to learn the hard way.
Who we got today? David Cox.
David Cox in the house. I was actually hanging out with David in Toronto next month. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get him working on getting him on right now, actually. So I'm gonna be in the background, and you guys can talk amongst yourselves.
All right, so I got a few more consumer discretionary stocks if you wanna get down like that. So some of which I never heard of. You know this Codir? This is like the DraftKings of Luxembourg. You know this one, Strazza?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you do know it?
Yeah.
This was new to me. Throw up slide 2 there, Spencer. Codir. So this is the DraftKings of Luxembourg. Who knew there was such a thing? Look at that base.
Tiny though, 360 million.
Well, how big is DraftKings?
Got to be like 20 billion.
Is it that big? DKNG is
no idea.
It's 18 billion. DraftKings is huge. And what's Penn Gaming? Penn Gaming is a lot smaller.
Probably sub $1 billion now, right?
Penn Gaming is 3 billion.
Wow. I'm surprised it's still, wow.
So this Penn Gaming is 10 times the size of this Luxembourg gambling one. Yeah, Kardashian bottom, Phil. You're absolutely right.
And look out for Penn right now. Penn's acting funky. It has a massive short interest. It's been in a dirty downtrend for a long, long time. But these stocks are working, not just the online gaming stocks, like a lot of charts like this. What's the other one from Australia or whatever? DraftKings looks good, but also the casinos, the brick and mortar casinos waking back up. We had Brian London talking about it on one of our shows last week. He's not wrong. So I like that whole theme. Penn's interesting here. Keeps popping up on our freshly squeezed list.
Can you throw up slide 3 here, Spencer, please? This is an Australian retailer. ADR trades here in the United States.
What is this?
This is online retail, gym and fitness equipment.
Never heard of this one.
Big bucks in Australia. Boku Dolores.
Huh.
This is FTEL, $650 million Australian gym and fitness equipment retailer.
Fitness stocks are never good.
Well,
you notice that?
FTEL just walked in the room.
I don't know if that's
just entered the chat. No,
I never heard of this.
Just because you've never heard of it doesn't mean the stock's not going to go up. In fact, all this stock does is go up.
The bike manufacturers, right? Even Nautilus, terrible. Not just Peloton. The gym stocks, like the gyms themselves. I don't know.
Do we have David in here?
We got David in here.
All right, hold on. One more chart before David comes in.
Yeah.
David, settle down. We'll get you in. Last chart, slide 2. If it's only 7 stocks, Spencer Israel, then why is the equally weighted NASDAQ 100 making new all-time highs? I'll take the over on that 7.
Do you want to know the answer to that question? It's that is that things aren't going up equally, right? That's the answer. Some things go up more than others.
Up equally.
Some things go up more than others.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them
some things gain more market cap than others.
It's just math. It's just math. This is the equally weighted. So that means they are weighted equally.
Right. But the 7 stocks argument is that certain companies are going up and are gaining market cap, gaining more market cap than many others.
For example, Spencer's pointing out the fact that Apple just tacked on like a cool 300 billion last week.
Right.
And that impacts like the NASDAQ 100 more than something like this.
Yeah.
You're not,
That's the answer
I'm wrong
to this.
Yeah.
So
all-time highs.
They all look so good. Also,
by the way, hold on. One more thing. Sorry, Strazza. New all-time highs after going nowhere since February. Hello.
Yeah. That's the best part. That's the best part.
Hello. Remember February? Everyone's telling me how crazy I am for getting defensive and how I'm fighting trends and how, how stupid I am. Well,
all right. I got another one.
Financials, industrials, consumer discretionaries, healthcare have done nothing for 4 months. And the equally weighted NASDAQ 100 has done nothing for 4 or 5 months. And now here we are making new all-time highs. So correction over, consolidation finito, trend resume, line go up.
JC, one group we've been talking about a ton on the show is software. Notice IGV looks almost exactly like this, just a little bit cleaner. Went out last week, new all-time highs, and like it's a really clean chart. It's just taking out those prior cycle highs and the Q2 or Q1 highs from earlier this year, right around 89. Tech.
That's
Looking
right.
good.
Yep. Rotation underneath the surface in technology. Software stocks. I mean, I still got to see it, Strazza. We're back to those former cycle highs.
These things look so good. So like when you look through the components, I mean, fantastic charts.
Yeah. New all-time highs on a weekly closing basis for the software index fund. You know, want to see some follow through this week's come a long way. This thing's absolutely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. Yeah. This thing's up large.
And not only JC, you make such an important point that these indexes have gone nowhere for almost 2 quarters now, right? Like done nothing, just consolidated, digested the gains from last year and earlier this year. Also, software on a relative basis has gone nowhere for like a year and a half now. Absolutely no outperformance, just market perform.
Yeah.
So if those trends reverse and the relative trend starts confirming the absolute trend, you get a breakout. I mean, software stocks are going to continue to run, probably be big leaders for a sustained period in the back half of this bull market.
You're saying software has underperformed AI. Interesting. I wonder why. Okay.
I wouldn't overthink it like that because these software stocks are also AI stocks. The big ones that are driving IGV, it's not software versus AI.
Okay.
It's software and now also AI. Do I not have that right?
Maybe.
I don't know what AI has anything to do with this.
Because, okay, fine. Whatever. Can I bring David on?
What does AI have anything to do with this?
He's saying that AI is eating software's lunch.
Thank you, Steve.
I hear you.
Can I bring David Cox on, please?
I want to talk about precious metals.
I think that's a dumb comment.
Okay, fine. I'm bringing David Cox on now.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Hey, Mr. Cox.
Hey, David.
Come on, man.
How are you? Good morning.
I am doing fantastic.
How much, you know?
I want you to take me to eat some delicious Asian cuisine in Toronto.
Asian? Well, what about Canadian cuisine? You're coming all the way here for Asia?
Is that a thing? Is Canadian cuisine like a thing or no?
What would it be?
It's a country
you know what? I don't know. It's probably unfortunately hot dogs and pizza or something. But
no.
That's
I don't think Italians went to Canada. I don't want to eat that pizza up there.
I thought you wanted steaks, but either way.
No. I want Asian cuisine, especially because it's hard to get into the United States. It's easier to get into Canada. So in some of these Asian countries, in India, I've had this conversation a ton with locals there that just gave up trying to get into America. They're trying to get into Canada. You just have a lot. Toronto is just such a mecca for delicious Asian cuisine. I remember walking from the Blue Jays game to like this Vietnamese joint. It was like down the block. Holy shit, it was incredible. I had crazy munchies because we were drinking beers the whole time at the game. It was fantastic. So I want to like revisit that.
I've written it down, and I will give some brainstorming to that.
All right, don't disappoint me. What? So Ferrari making new all-time highs. I'm told the consumer's dead, David. Ferrari,
come on,
slinging them like hotcakes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess somebody's buying the cars or somebody's buying the stock anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think I like the discretionary sector. I just heard you guys rambling about it. I just kind of shot in there on Twitter there, like year to date, the Tesla and Amazon are the last month. Okay, they're responsible for more than the 1 month performance of XLY, right? So obviously they've driven more than their share. But again, just to kind of chime in on a bunch of things. Planet Fitness, come on, Steve, you said no gyms. Planet Fitness, it's got some performance.
Is that where you go, David? Is that where you get you do your curls for the girls?
No, I work out at home, and I don't even think we have a Planet Fitness here. I think it's US, but I'm not sure. I've never seen one here. So
how do you make any Tesla $10 a month? I don't understand it.
I don't know. I heard that wasn't the deal with that they serve pizza to people that come in or something. Like I honestly heard that was
Yes,
like a feature, right?
yes.
You go to the
That's what
gym and you
Pizza
work out and then
Friday.
you eat pizza.
Yep, they used to. I used to go
Interesting.
to Plant Fitness when I was in high school, and they had like pizza on Fridays. You're absolutely right.
Wow.
Wouldn't
I
expect
think it's
that.
a good business model because then you charge people and don't have to give them anything because they never show up. That's pretty good business.
Yeah, for sure, I guess.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
and
like
then
discretionary.
I
like
want to talk about.
you convince like unhealthy people that by signing up here they're going to get healthier, and then you never
Yeah.
see them again.
Yeah,
Oh, you feed them pizza and send them home and never see them
Pretty
again.
sweet deal.
for sure. Yeah.
I want to talk about these tech charts, though.
Hold on. Before we get into tech, sticking with consumer discretionary, because you're the only one that wants to talk to me about discretionary, David.
Yeah.
Which is information in and of itself. What about the dispersion amongst the discretionary space where you got your Wingstop and your Kava and your Walmart and your Costco and your Amazon, and then you got your Denny's, and you got your Papa John's, right? You got like just your disasters.
McDonald's, Starbucks.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what do you make of that dispersion? Are we putting too much weight, pun intended, on the Amazons and Teslas of the world that represent 40% of the damn index? And Strazza keeps pointing to the equally weighted discretionary space that's
Doesn't look
nowhere near that. Small cap discretionary is also not doing great. But we live in a market cap weighted world, whether we like it or not. Do we not?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, to me, it's about industry groups, right? Like what's underneath it. So last year, I mean, the home builders, I mean, we're super strong. So I mean, they were, I mean, since the October 22 bottom actually, right? The builders ran, so they bucked the whole discretionary trend in the first place. And so now, yeah, I mean, I think probably the best
True.
theme, aside from some of the, again, Tesla to me looks very interesting, of course, after sort of some buying coming in and Amazon, but the restaurant group, I mean, you just mentioned it. Now, there's obviously a huge disconnect between the haves and the have-nots. I mean, you just rhyme them all off. But when you look at there's a whole bunch of stocks. I mean, Dutch Bros, like there's a whole bunch of names, and I love it when you can find, like, let's use restaurants, right? You look, there's got to be more. There's more than half a dozen with amazing, strong, massive relative strength uptrend. So that sounds like a great group, and it should be a group that everyone has on their watch list, right? Even on the big side, there was a bit of a reversal, I think, on CMG on Chipotle a couple of weeks ago there. But Domino's, those are the pretty good names.
And how do you treat a group like home builders right now, in light of what's going on in the broader sector? They were the leaders when maybe the sector wasn't working so great. Now it looks like things are turning around for the sector. Are they going to complete a top? But how do you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, that was a group that really kind of led off the bottom, right, at the bottom of the bear market. And so to me, that was interesting. And then I think last summer, around actually the same time, we had that kind of selling, right? So you had what looked like impulsive selling. All your leaders, your Hordens and Pulte's and Toll, they all came off, and then they re-rallied, right? And so again, later, I think it was late in the summer, maybe August, you had a re-rally, and again, I certainly have no problem participating because some of those names are long-term leaders. I mean, those names I just mentioned, those things have all like beaten the S&P for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And so, but now I think there's too much selling again. So to me, the sector is or the industry group rather is looks risk off, and they've all rolled over. So whether they reignite, who knows? But I mean, it happened last summer, but I don't know. Maybe it's getting late in the game for them, right? I don't know.
Yeah. No, but you're right too. Last summer, we were probably saying the same thing because over the course of 4 months, the iShares home construction index was down like 20%. And then all of a sudden,
Absolutely.
Q4 happened.
For sure. And like Pulte, so for example, I look at a lot of leadership underneath. And so, coming out of that summer, Pulte was acting best. Okay. So Pulte happened to be the sort of one I was most interested in and kind of stood in. But now that we get kind of, we've definitely rolled over. I mean, average slopes are turning over and, a bunch of crosses and whatnot. And so, no exposure. But yeah, I think it's an important group still, right, to pay attention to. But we'd have to see buying come back in, which is not there right now.
Okay, so my favorite chart that you brought us, if JC allows me, we're going to move
Please.
this party over to technology. This AMD chart looks fantastic, whether you zoom out and look at it against the power cycle highs, zoom in. We had like a little band squeeze going on the past couple of months. What are you seeing here?
Well, I mean, I see exactly what you just said. I mean, this is a name stock here that ran huge, and massive leader, and so it pulled back, and it hasn't participated in the last few months. So that obviously that's an opportunity cost and a portfolio perspective. You got technology driving the bus, and AMD is like dead weight. So it's challenging when you go through that as an investor. You sit on a stock like that, and you're not keeping up. And that's the other issue, of course, with a weak breadth market that we've had, is that sort of here we are even looking at technology, and you got names, including the other one that I threw up there, they're both weak, right? Although they've been strong. So hard not to like the action on Friday on the right side there. That's the daily. I mean, that's nice. I like that. That's what I call the bar. And so again, to me, it's a good bar to manage risk around. And looks like some buyers came back into it, and looks like it's going to open a better part of 2% up this morning. And so we'll see, right?
And you're talking about the weekly or the daily candle?
Well, the daily candle, I mean, the weekly is look, I mean, it's sitting right at what do you want? I mean, that's a level, right? It kind of reclaimed, it tried to break down, the bears tried to run with it, didn't happen. And so hard not to like the weekly candle, even in the last few weeks. It's consolidated super tight. It's not bad. And now when you get a daily move like that on the right side, I mean, okay, like let's see whether we can kind of add to it this week, and then there you go, right? I think it looks good.
I like when you get a nice little shake, like we had a couple months back too. It's like
sure.
bears tested it, had their chance, and then demand came in, reversed it. So you're buying weakness in the context of a primary uptrend. What kind of tools are you using to time that? Because you mentioned opportunity cost is the problem with this kind of a strategy. So what are you using as like a signal to get in? Is it just this momentum, this big daily candle? Are you using indicators?
Well, yeah, no, it's a good question. So as the market is sat here, and obviously the index is going up, and I know we've got the breadth issue, of course, okay, but when you look at it, technology, we obviously both know that technology is strong. So when you have consolidation on that weekly chart like that, I don't have a problem buying the dip. So if you look back at that, whatever that candle is there, 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, right? I don't have a problem getting long there. I really don't. And yes, in let's say 2 month hindsight, you're dead weight. But what do, right? You're waiting for basically what happened on Friday to show up. And it can show up with little notice. I think that for someone that doesn't have a position, I mean, sure, there it is, right? Friday is there you go, we're moving. But to me, Friday was just the finally, that's what should have happened, right? And so again, I know I put another chart there, SMCI, it's the same thing, except it hasn't gone yet, right? And so, this is a weekly chart of super micro. This is a way stronger name. I mean, it's had a huge rally, right? Even compared to AMD, but it's gone nowhere and has not kept up this year at all. And yet that's a pretty tight pullback. Now, this is a more volatile stock. To me, this moves 7 to like 9% a day, which you got to be aware. But I like this. And so same thing, we could sit here, whether it's tomorrow, next week, if suddenly that buying bar comes in, I'm not going to be surprised. And I think that you have to be careful though, especially when you got an underperforming name, you have to be careful kind of trying to buy strength versus buy weakness, right? So it's back to what you just said, the pullback, like to me, there's your pullback, right? So this stock pulled back, SMCI that is, and then kind of, it's found support. It's been sitting at this line. So because it's not going, I'd rather buy, a few days dip, if you will, as long as that line holds, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I really like both of these chart patterns, both similar in a way where that, coming off a really nice underlying uptrends and just coiling nice and tight here. I guess you would make the bet that SMCI would look like AMD maybe soon. Starting to...
I mean, that would be the bet. If you had to bet, I mean, you'd have to assume that's going to happen. But again, obviously it may not. And we have to obviously be open-minded to that as well.
David, you come to us from Canada. Not a lot of technology there. A lot of natural resources, 4 banks, and that's it, pretty much, right? Natural resources and 4 banks. That's Canada in a nutshell.
Most Canadians, first off, would say 6 banks. I'm not sure who you're excluding by that, but either way, they're so weak, we might as well throw a couple away. Sure.
I apologize to anybody who I offended.
There's a couple of insurance companies. Obviously, that's the same space. You got a bunch of pipelines, a bunch of utilities, a lot of dividend-heavy stuff, and that doesn't sort of operate well in this rate environment, and it has not been. And as already know, these gold stocks. I mean, my goodness, every time they attempt to make a move, I mean, it's just a total fake out. They've been such a mess for so long. So yeah, we got lots of those.
Be careful; they're going to kick you out of that country if you keep talking like that.
It is what it is. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like yeah. I mean, every time there's been this like commodities haven't sustainably moved in any kind of, legitimate way. Like for basically, like you're talking more than 15 years. We're going back to the 2000s before there was like a legitimate long thing. Because even these copper stocks, right? They had a great rally so far, and it may continue, right? And so I think there's some opportunity in copper. I think that stuff actually looks pretty good, right? And so you got some of the names, a lot of dual listed stuff, right? You got names like Tech, and you got names like Hudbay, Lundin Mining, HBM, and LUN. Those are Canadian names. Those are look at the chart of HBM. It's obviously it's a $3.3 billion company, but that's an uptrend, and that's a strong move. And sure, there's a lot more liquidity in things like Southern Copper and Freeport, but yeah.
Really nice base in Lundin Mining.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
Um, I think we're just skipping over Wheaton Precious Metals, Vancouver's finest.
David, do you have any idea why Wheaton has such a stronger correlation to spot gold than any of these other producers or miners?
Well, first off, the ones we just mentioned, I mean, I wouldn't call gold, like Hudbay and Lundin. We're not going to call those kind of
Yeah.
the precious metals. Okay, so
Sure.
I mean, to me, the Wheaton is like a large, it's a large cap, and it's been around, forever. So, that to me is where you're going to get your real precious metal exposure. And the fact is that I think their underlying contracts, right? I don't think Wheaton even owns. I think Wheaton's model is such that it's one of those. They own the revenue, or the kind of the production from a number of properties. But like I think right now, if you check, I think like PAAS, which would be Pan American, I'm pretty sure has been a stronger chart. They're both dual listed, right? Yeah, so Pan American's been a better name this year. So that's like silver related. And again, another name on the big cap side would be like Newmont, which is also dual listed, NEM. And then of course AEM, right? These are all dual listed stocks you guys have in New York as well. And sadly for the Canadians, just a reminder that stocks in Canada are far more liquid in the US, which is ridiculous, but it is what it is, right?
What about the fact that Newmont, not quite a new 52-week high, a 51-week high, if you really want to go there. Round up to the nearest year, and new 51-week highs for Newmont Mining. Is that indicative of a weak market for precious metals?
Well, no, and in fact, I'll point out here that for the Canadians, I'm pretty sure, yeah, we made a 52-week high. So you guys have got currency baked into your NEM, right? So on the Canadian ticker NGT, which is the TSX version, looks like we did close at new highs. So that is a full breakout on, yeah, that is definitely a full 52-week high on Friday. Okay, so I always see, to me that's important too, because from your perspective, from your, you guys have got to have this currency thing baked in there. So I think that's crucial, is that, if I was you, I would still want to look at what the local return is on the TSX stuff from a chart perspective. But at the same time, of course, from an American investor standpoint, you got to understand the Canadian dollar a little bit, to sort of, you know what I mean, to understand the whole NEM is, NGT plus, your currency. Right?
I thought Newmont was an American company. I didn't even know it was Canadian.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, where's it headed? I mean, to me, it's a Canadian company. Now, maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. Where's it based? I thought it was here. Is it not? Maybe it's even based somewhere we don't even know. Oh yeah, you know what? We'll call it Colorado. So Steve, you corrected me. Oh no, there, North America. I don't know, Vancouver. To me, it's a Vancouver company, but maybe I'm wrong. So I don't know. It looks like they got offices all over. So I don't know where they call their head office now. But either way, it made 52-week highs in Toronto. And so if we're talking gold stocks and we're talking precious metal stocks and we're talking about them with a Canadian eye, those things are actually that's stronger than you're seeing. Okay.
Yeah. So what other areas of the market you like right now?
Financials. Let's talk about financials. Canada's got plenty of exposure there. Financials are making new all-time highs. You're getting rotation under the surface. It's not just Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Piper Sandler, Jefferies, both going out at new all-time highs last week. Absolutely ripping, outperforming their competitors.
Yeah, yep. What's wrong with TD Bank too?
Well, I mean, they've been caught up in whatever kind of, the scam. They were funding, I don't know, they whatever. These companies like you know, they loan money, they have all kinds of things. I think something to do with fentanyl made the headlines, and of course that's not
Really?
very nice. And so who knows? But remember, the Canadian, first off, the Canadian banks, just to be clear, the Canadian banks are way underperforming the US banks. So, you know, it's not even a conversation from an American vantage point. The Canadian banks are again, there's 6 of them, or, you know, JC said 4, but the point is they're really weak as a whole, right? Now, again, you know, National Bank, which I don't know if you guys even know, because I don't think that's dual listed, NA in Toronto, made highs, but then they bought probably the number, I don't know, 8 or 9 bank recently, and the stock sold off on the news. So the Canadian banks have a lot, to me, mortgage kind of issues behind the scenes, which again, not a US problem. It's a different environment, right? We've got those 5-year terms here that everyone takes mortgages on. We don't have 30 years, so everybody is caught up in the whole rate structure thing. And I think the banks have overlent. So I think they've got a lot of underlying issues yet to be sorted out, and the market seems to agree because as a whole they're weak, right? They're really weak. But JC, love the U.S. financials. Sure, they're definitely coming on. I mean, you can't deny, right? And you know what I even like is look at the European banks. I mean, they had a earlier this year rally, right? And it didn't totally, you know, kind of work out. But when you look at some of the foreign banks, I mean, there's some pretty good charts, right? And you know, look at Deutsche. I mean, it's hard to it's hard to be super negative. You know, there's some good Japanese banks, which makes sense because the Japanese market. But you know, like SMVFG, right? I don't know, Sumitomo Mitsui. That's a Japanese. Look at it, close to
Yeah,
52
Muff
guys there.
G.
Why is
Yeah.
it? Why is it that technicians can't say the Deutsche Bank chart looks good without laughing or snickering a little bit?
Because we've been around the block.
Yeah, that's
And we're
why.
all surprised it's still around.
But I
Right,
mean, you know
David?
what? Yeah, no, absolutely. But is that not fair? I think it's fair. Hang on, I'm gonna plot it before I say it. But I'm pretty sure here that we can agree that, like, is it not better than Citibank? Right? I mean, that's like another old school name that's completely, you know,
Yep. I mean, yeah, don't
tempted
zoom
to
out
use the
on
word
that one.
garbage. But
It's just
yeah,
one
you zoom
since
out.
we find ourselves saying, you know, if Deutsche Bank looks good, how bad could it be? And it's true.
I mean, Deutsche
But
Bank lost what, like 95, 96% of its value?
yeah,
And
absolutely
now
huge.
it's bounced a little,
But I
tripled
think
off
this
the
is the
lows
problem.
from COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? That theme that you just said here, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go back to. I want to take what you just said to Tesla, and here's why. It's because I think investors do this all the time, right? Like they show up late to something. So Tesla's monster, you know, monster 5-year returns, which is obviously came from few years ago. And then what happens is that it's an underperformer, it's a total laggard. It's the same thing with like Apple, you know, last year. So you get people that are like, whatever, you know, it's no good, it's no good. And then next thing you know, the thing comes to life, and then there's like this reluctance, right, to sort of, oh no, it can't be good, right? It's been such a laggard. And then there's like no one wants to talk about it. And then, of course, you know as well as I do, they're going to talk about it. It's just going to have to go a whole lot higher. And that's the problem with markets, really, right?
So I'm going to tell you guys a quick little story about David Cox. David and I are sitting there in New York at a conference, and we're sitting there next to each other, not listening to whoever was presenting. And David whispers to me, "You see about how much Bitcoin you got? Do you see what percentage of your net worth is in Bitcoin?" He's like whispering to me, right? And I'm Cuban, so I don't know how to whisper. So I'm like screaming, "Not enough! Not enough! I don't have enough!" Right? This was this last spring? Was this spring of
It,
23?
it was, yeah. Yep.
Spring of 23. I was right. I didn't have enough. I was right. Spot on.
As you always point out, you can never have enough when something's rising, right?
That's right. That's right. So I was dead right in that I did not have enough. You know, DGen over here, David Cox, you know, financial advisor extraordinaire, right? CMT, all half the alphabet after his name, all these things. But when it's late at night and the lights are out and the family's asleep, he's creeping in the corners of the internet. Right?
I like to look at some things, yes.
So thoughts, concerns?
What about Bitcoin in general?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Talk to me about the funny money.
Well, come on. I mean, I sent you guys a weekly chart. I mean, look at this. This is the
Throw it
first
up.
time in a year, right? The first time. So this is a weekly chart. Now, of course, I don't even honestly normally look at, you know, a chart like this because it's kind of really big, right? On a 24/7. But first off, like this, you see those green circles in the bottom. I'm an RSI 5 guy. I know 14's usual, but this is weekly RSI 5. you look at that. This is the first, sell-off, first oversold point in a year. We've only had 2 in the whole rally, right? So I think it's very easy to sort of go and see the sentiment change. And I don't know how people get involved in markets, but obviously this is another volatile asset. And so, for anyone that kind of buys the high, they get hurt, right? When you look back a week later and things down 20%. But I mean, it's oversold on the weekly chart. So I mean, if you believe that's an uptrend, then I think you have to at least have an open mind that it just came down. And I know that investors typically want to go and make excuses as to why it's going to come a lot further down, but that's no different than any other stock. So yeah, it's hard not to sort of like the behavior. And yeah, it's more noisy than stocks, which is fine. It's just part of the program, right?
David, I don't know if you ever do this, but let's say hypothetically you took your CMT hat off and you approached the crypto markets, $2 trillion market from the perspective of a CFA, right? So do you do that at all? Do you play this game at all?
I now for this particular instrument, okay, or asset class, whatever you want to call it, I've done a lot of reading, and I've I was well prepared, of course, over the last several years, having watched this thing sort of kind of do its thing over the years, right? And I tried to buy I tried to buy the dip in 2014, 15, somewhere around there, and I think there was a dip to $400, and I hate it. So it didn't happen. But this is a monetary sort of, call it a phenomenon, instrument, whatever you want to call it. I think it's interesting, and I think the world is participating, and I think that I don't think it can be stopped very easily, and I think I think it's very interesting, and I think that for people that the way I describe what's going on in this space is you look at the sort of the remittances side of it, right? And so instead of looking at it as a volatile asset, which I think is the most common thing, I look at let's say a Canadian investor, they're going to be like, oh, it's so volatile, right? And so, but hang on, like let's separate
Compared
ourselves.
to what? Junior mining stocks?
Well, okay, no, but obviously, like JC, most people, in fairness, those are pure speculators. I don't even, whatever, speculators, junior mining stocks, whatever. The point is, it's more volatile in stocks, right? And so anytime you're dealing with, we'll call an asset class that's capable of obviously going up or down, who cares, 10% in a day or something, that's a lot, right? It's a lot more than the indexes, typically the stock indexes. So I think that that's the problem, is that we sort of go in immediately branded that way. But for anyone that actually wants to go and do a little bit of undercover work, I think that the whole concept of the monetary transfer and the ability to move large amounts of money in a permissionless way across the globe, especially on some of these countries that have tremendous remittances, where these kind of, you got your US kids are sending money back home. It's tremendous. Like, so there's, when you look at the math of that and you look at the financial institutions and their gain from the transactions that they right now permit, they don't want that to go away, right? So there's obviously a huge problem, right? Governments are worried, banks are worried. We've got all kinds of troubles in Canada here with this, because people want to transfer money to some crypto exchange. Well, these things get rejected all the time. It's not, you know what I mean? They don't make it easy.
When you say you've been doing a lot of reading, you want to can you fill us in? Any recommendations you can make?
Well, I think that, sure, the most basic book, well, it's not even basic, but the Bitcoin Standard is a must read, right, by Saifedean Ammous. I mean, it is a must read. So for anyone that
Taylor
doesn't
who
know
wrote it?
anything, and
No.
no, that is Saifedean Ammous.
Got it. That's right.
Yeah. So for anyone that hasn't, doesn't know anything, and I'm going to say, if you just think it's a volatile asset, that to me, that you don't know anything, because that's not really what it is. So I think you should go and look at that, because the whole phenomenon, right, that this world that we have of fiat money, and the fact that they just print and manufacture money, and it's not backed by anything. That whole idea and set of principles is pretty important, right? It's pretty important to our purchasing power. It's pretty important to like kind of how everyone lives and spends. And when you start to wrap your head around the kind of waste, right, the waste that happens in the world by having the ability to whatever, spend on anything, because there's no limits, it's fascinating. So I think Saifedean does an excellent job of kind of enlightening things in that book. And just another podcast that I very much like is Mark Moss actually runs a podcast that I think is very worthwhile, and really speaks a lot of big picture macro stuff.
What's it called?
And Mark Moss is his name. The podcast is, I don't even know, just look up Mark Moss, Moss. And that's a podcast I listen to every week. He Yeah, does a great job. Lynn Alden also does a lot of speaking
Yeah.
about Bitcoin, as a technology. And so when you start to dig in, start to understand again what it is, right? We can have our technical hats on, and that's fine. But yeah, you're right. I think there's more to it, right? We have to mature to the fact that this isn't just some whatever volatile thing. You got to understand what it is, what it's for, and what the potential is from that perspective. And I think it's a thing to diversify away from standard assets that we're used to. And I think we're going to continue to see the average person gain an understanding, a deeper understanding over the years going forward, right? Like,
What about non-Bitcoin? Are you aping into any of these meme coins or?
yeah, ape, my goodness. I mean, some of these things. So now we get into speculation. So the way I describe it
So
is,
Bitcoin not speculation. Bitcoin more conservative.
well, I call that's the granddaddy of the whole thing. I mean, obviously
All
it's the
right, all
largest,
right.
right? And whatever. Ethereum, obviously, is the second, but all these other, I don't even know how many there are, but I usually say there's 20,000 plus these coins. And
It's about 5,000 new coins a day.
right, okay, well, I'm probably way off. And my 20,000 number is probably like years old, right? But to me,
20,000 this weekend.
okay, so they're going to be like 99% garbage, right?
Yeah.
99 point
Yes.
something garbage. So
Yes.
that is just the pure speculation. There's just nothing going on
It's like the
other than
Nasdaq
stuff that's,
composite, right, David?
you could say that, yeah. Geez, you're hurting some people in the U.S. here. The
I stick it to
Nasdaq.
everybody, David. I don't
Yeah,
just pick on the
absolutely.
Canadians. I love
It,
Canadians. They do it with
it's,
love.
it's like
And,
the
and
Russell 2000, right?
it might seem simple-minded to just say, oh, well, Bitcoin's the big one. That's the best quality filter that we have for crypto is market cap, right? Like that's our
Yep.
best measure of quality. So the fact that it's the biggest is the best way to justify why you would favor that one.
It's like the stock
market's
market.
telling us that's going to be one that sticks around.
It's like Amazon in the consumer discretionary space.
For sure, but when you get into the whole idea of supply of these things too, a lot of these meme coins, whatever, they're just manufacture more to become mint millionaires every day. The people that make them, so it's total garbage. And obviously, there's people willing to trade the stuff. You guys threw up charts before I got on here. I was like, oh, what is this? Like I don't know what that stuff is.
Pepe,
Billy?
Pepe
Yeah,
and Billy.
I don't know what that is. So, but at the same time, I
I
mean,
don't know what it
from
is
a
either.
relative.
It's just
But
a new dog coin.
But
That's
from
all
a
I know.
relative strength standpoint, I can obviously Solana. Okay, great. You have to be able to accept that there's relative strength there. So the fact that you guys then highlighted there's relative strength off of the Solana kind of and I guess environment. Sure. I mean, but here we go. Now we're putting our technical hats on. So I don't know anything about the technology, but again, I think Bitcoin is something that people should be reading about. I think they should be like digging in before just kind of scoffing and whatnot. So
Couldn't agree
Back
more.
to Canada.
yeah.
Galaxy's Canadian, Strazza, right?
Yeah, somebody was asking about it in the chat.
Can you throw it up?
Yeah.
It-
For us
it-
Americans who might not want to be long Canadian dollar, though, we can buy this.
Yeah, but okay, so to make that comment, I'm just going to make my comment again that that this is going to be basically arbed off the GLXY in Toronto,
Yes.
which is gonna have the currency in there as well. So the point
Yes.
is, first off,
Performance will be similar.
yeah, first off, just to make a quick comment about currency, I don't think I think to me, from an American standpoint, you have only upside. I mean, the Canadian dollar is not plummeting, like not at all. It's been flat for decades. I think that Americans should feel very comfortable. So if there's a Canadian name, absolutely. And so, yeah, this is a pretty strong name, relative strength wise, right? I mean, Novogratz that runs it is a huge name, and they got a lot of stuff going on underneath, right? It's kind of like they're doing a lot of the investment banking, a lot of the kind of issuance, a lot of the management and sort of consulting on a lot of these different whatever instruments that are being created.
And I think you're right to, mention Novogratz. With something like this, if you look through their financials, they got 5 or 6 different businesses, right? So they're trying to build out like a diversified crypto capital markets business, right? And Novogratz actually is an operator in the crypto space who has a trusted track record in TradFi, right? He's not like some of these
For sure.
CEOs who are running these Bitcoin mining companies who literally are like, former snake oil salesmen. Novogratz actually knows the space, knows what he's doing. I think you could trust him as an operator. So that makes me feel more comfortable about this one. There's not another stock like it. Like you said, David, they're trying to do a little bit of everything. I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And again, that's another example of how do you learn? Well, he's been at a whole lot of conferences, and you can Google away online, and you'll see Novogratz over the years and what he has to say. And I think that's another way that someone can go and learn, right?
Yeah.
David, best performing sector of the 11 S&P sectors. It is July the 8th. When it is New Year's Eve, Canadians and Americans celebrate that at the same time. when it's New Year's Eve and we're drinking champagne, what will we be like? Man, that was the best sector in the back half. What's it going to be?
You know what? I'm biased by this morning already, and some of your earlier comments. I'm gonna take discretionaries just because I do like some of the stuff going on there, and I'm gonna actually take discretionary. Which, yeah, technology is too boring.
Shopify is considered a discretionary stock, or is that a software stock?
No, that's a technology stock, and so that's been yeah, that's
Oh,
been
wow.
yeah, that's in our technology. It's cloud. It's yeah, but that was a what's that?
That's terrible. Amazon should be in our tech sector too.
Well, take it
I
up
know,
with
but
Standard and Poor's.
yeah, exactly. These guys muck these things around. You know that. I mean, there's so much overlap. It's like the whole AI thing, right? I mean, like, well, what is AI? Like, you got the strongest utility stocks, and the XLU are AI stocks, I'm told. I don't know.
Yeah.
We got to laugh about it, David, because
For
we
sure.
laugh about it or cry about it. So we might as well
Absolutely.
have a good time with it, right?
Yeah.
AI.
Some
Get
people
the fuck outta here,
complain,
AI.
but I mean, why complain, right? It is what it is.
So discretionary. See, me and David Cox in the house. See why I like you, David. See,
I'm taking it. I'm with you then. Yep.
check out the Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out the Billy on Radium. They let you trade on Radium in Canada?
I don't even know what that is. So, gee, I don't know.
You
Radio.
don't need to know.
They
Okay.
make it harder in Canada. It's true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You're
All
the
right.
man, David. I will see you in Toronto in a few weeks. Looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I look forward to that too, for sure. So yeah,
Spicy
thanks for having me on,
Asian
guys.
cuisine.
All right, I got that.
Anywhere in
yes.
Asia, I'm good. It doesn't matter. As
All
long
right.
as it's any Asian. Could be Korean, could be Thai,
But you're not talking
Vietnamese,
sushi.
Indian. You know, I don't want to say no to sushi because I am obsessed with sushi, but like,
Yep.
if you really want to do sushi, I'm not going to say no.
All right, I'll figure it out.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thanks a lot,
But
David.
thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, David.
Adios. I've been eating a lot of sushi lately.
Not gonna say no to sushi, but I mean,
Think about how much sushi I would have to have had lately to say no to sushi.
All the Palantir fans really coming out of the woodwork. I love to see
yeah,
that.
no, I was noticing that too, actually.
I'm a Palantir maxi myself, so love to see it. I don't know if it's
I
an
had,
AI
I had a
stock.
hot take on Palantir over the weekend. I don't know if you saw that.
I think it's a government stock. What was it? I didn't see it.
It was a pretty. I mean, hot. Definitely. I think it was a legit take. Here, throw up slide 2 there, Spencer Israel. You know what my take was? I think you're gonna agree with it, but you're biased.
Oh, am I?
Yes. You just admitted to it, but even if you didn't, I would tell you you're biased.
Yeah,
What if pre-IPO was the cup and post-IPO is the handle? Ooh, hot take.
Ooh.
Sizzling hot.
I think you're onto something.
I think I'm onto something too, because
Yeah.
remember, this company was founded like 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, dude, they've been around forever.
So
Again,
think about a multi-decade base, IPOing, consolidating, completing that handle, and now ready to resume higher while people think it's a scam and it's conspiracy theory and a lot of hate. Love that. Love that.
This is one of my favorite forever stocks.
I have a question for you. Do people hate it because they hate Republicans and they don't like that this guy in California is Republican and it's a political thing? Or is it more of like a government conspiracy theory sort of situation?
I think it's both. It checks both boxes. I think in the early days that Thiel was a problem because he's a controversial figure in Silicon Valley and in the world of politics now. So he's kind of stepped away. He's pretty much just completely silent and has been that way for as long as the company's been public, longer as far as I understand it. But the other guy, Karp, also,
He's a character.
He says some things from time to time. So
Who's
it's
Karp?
polarizing. It's always been a polarizing company. And I think these days it comes down more to the fact that it's a black box and people don't like things that they don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more the latter. I think it's more like, oh, you want to invest in the CIA? Invest in Palantir, right?
This company gets like special permission.
That's a pretty bullish
Listen,
catalyst.
This company might be forced to not be public one day.
I'd be long CIA.
No, seriously. This company gets special permission from regulators to not follow transparency laws that pretty much every other company has to.
Interesting.
It might come a time where it's going to be tough to be public.
I just want to push back on now getting nuked. Now's down 4%. Closed at an all-time high last week.
I've been waiting for a dip in this one.
Has literally doubled off the lows.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, nuked, I would say, is a little aggressive there.
I mean, this one
well-deserved profit taking.
The shake that ServiceNow gave us, a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
Ooh, what a shake!
Software in general, Strazza.
Yeah. I got
software in general did that. By the way, ServiceNow. Fun fact, Spencer, don't look. How big do you think ServiceNow is?
Oh, it's massive.
I don't know, 300 billion.
All right, stupid. It's 160.
All
right. He said it was massive. He said massive. I don't know.
I know, but he's leading the witness. Strazza, you're killing me, Smalls.
I think
AMD
160 is way bigger than
Go
I
ahead,
thought.
Steve. What?
I think AMD looks like ServiceNow next. We got a nice shake there. It's been slower, out the gates. But if you drop some VWAPs on AMD, its Bollinger Bands hit the lowest level since like 2020, just last week. And now, from that volatility contraction, you're seeing the expansion. Big candle Friday following through today. Don't sleep on AMD. I think there's a massive catch-up trade here. And when this one goes, it really goes. I think you could trade this next wave in AMD for sure. And you got a really clear risk level to trade it against.
If I could bring this whole thing full circle, going back to the thing about consumer economy, TSA says they screened 3 million people yesterday, a single day record. So
what do you mean screened? Like for the
people coming home,
fast pass or whatever
stuff?
Like people going through security at the airport.
Oh, just regular security.
Regular security.
It's the experience economy, JC.
I mean, Vibe Sessions seems
the
to be
experience
over.
Economy.
People are traveling, no doubt.
Yeah, no, it's
No
good
doubt.
to see. It's good stuff.
Hey, we have Ian Cully here. Should we talk some fixed income? Actually, I don't really know what charts he sent over, so I didn't look at them.
I'm glad that you're bringing in Ian because I want to do the hot corner because we have a big offshore driller.
All right, what should we do first?
Well, I want to do both at the same time because Ian's here.
Fine. Ian, you're coming on. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
Noble Energy. Ian knows Noble Energy. That's why JC wants him here. What's up, dude?
Big purchase.
Yeah, what, like 14, 15 million, right?
I don't know. It's a lot. What do you guys got?
Throw it up. Yeah, the Noble chart, when we were doing the note today, I said we got to zoom out more on this chart because the more you zoom out, the better it looks.
Yes.
Right? The underlying trend is higher. A little messy, but higher.
Didn't Diamond Offshore just get bought out?
I think so.
Or am I making that up?
There's two diamonds. I think DO.
Yeah, DO.
Some M&A stuff, but not the other Diamondback, which is
no, not Diamondback. Diamond Offshore looks just like Noble, pretty much.
So anyway, listen, throw up the table because the Noble chart's been dead money for over a year now, but now you're seeing.
And remember, these things all blew up and then restructured and came back. Let's remember.
Yeah, this was one of those.
This is one of those.
Fair. So AMPH Invest. This is AP Moeller, I believe. Denmark-based investment company, 13 million. Not bad. Solid purchase. They must be a 10% owner or be on the board for them to be filing a Form 4 for this. So that was an interesting one. But these energy stocks, we really want to be involved in the ones that are resolving their ranges higher. Ian can say more about this. When you look at something like NE, I mean, do you want to bet on the failed top? I guess you can. I feel less confident betting on failed tops in energy right now than I do in maybe other sectors. I think you really want the ones that are resolving their ranges higher. Those are out there rather than coming and buying the ones on the lower bounds, right? At the bottom of their ranges. What do you think, Ian? You're on mute.
First timer?
There he is. Spencer.
Come on, Ian.
I don't know. He was working. It was working before, wasn't it, Ian? Did I imagine that?
We need to boot him off. You know, like at the Apollo, when they bomb at the Apollo, the guy comes on. If this was Harlem, you'd be dead.
Wait, Ian, seriously, do what I did this morning. Just unplug your mic and plug it back in. Seriously, that might actually work. That's what I had. I had some mic issues earlier, and I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and it worked. So let's see what that does. All right, while he futzes with that.
All right. Well, listen, at support, right? Never broke down. Never got oversold.
But sideways for now.
Been sideways for a year within an ongoing uptrend, ripping since inception, post restructuring or whatever it is that they do, right?
Yeah.
And then so what happens? Shareholders get wiped out, bondholders get wiped out, they start again?
Usually it's different. But yeah, typically it's a new share class.
So all those OG shareholders, they have nothing to do with this.
I don't think so. I don't know for sure. Probably.
Well, that's usually how it goes.
Ian
Probably
back?
not.
Nope. All right. See ya,
Hey,
Ian.
what's going on today, Ian?
Goodbye.
Adios. He looked good though. Good looking guy, right? Good looking guy.
I like, the way it's marked up. The fact that it never hit oversold conditions. That's something that we look for.
Yeah.
Like I'm always on here being like, oh, Solana looks so good. Part of the reason why I'm saying nicer things about something like Solana than Bitcoin is just one didn't get oversold. You tend to see that, in the strongest groups, the strongest stocks. So Noble, despite being dead money for over a year now, just, dead sideways since last summer. So actually in the same place it was Q1 of last year. Momentum has never been oversold. You got the sideways 200 day. It's at least holding a big support level. You want to err in the direction of the underlying trend and think, yeah, this probably does eventually turn into a continuation pattern and not end up being a top. But when do you get in? Yeah, how do you time it? That becomes the question with patterns like this. I think you drop a VWAP from the range highs here and use that as maybe, your first line of resistance.
Throw slide 2 up, Spencer. Can we talk about Dave & Buster's here? The consumer's dead and Ferrari's not a good indicator of the consumer is what they tell me on the internet. I guess neither's Walmart or Costco or Amazon or Wingstop or Texas Roadhouse or Kava or any of these other consumer stocks that keep making new all-time highs. How about Dave & Buster's? Is it only rich people that go to Dave & Buster's?
Again, I just want to say the economy is strong and it continues to be reported by the major media outlets that the economy is strong. I don't know where you're getting your information, some strange dark corners of the internet where people are
front and center, right on the old Twitter.
Like Spencer just said, record numbers this holiday weekend. I guess.
Opposite of what you just said, Jason.
Somebody tell the airlines.
All cylinders.
You'd think the airlines would be doing better if Spencer's statistics were accurate. Did the airlines not get the memo there, Spencer? What do you think is going on there?
Oh, he's good, Spencer.
No, that's a wonderful question to ask, right? And
like how much do you need to suck?
Proof. It is proof that the economy is not the stock market, and vice versa, right?
It's proof that airlines are just trash stocks, and it's always been that way.
Dude, airlines, man.
There's no environment that works for the airlines.
Speaking of airlines, can we bring up Boeing real fast? Just because they were in the news this morning.
Are they an airline now? Oh, because they bought Spirit.
No, JC. No, nothing to do with that. Wrong Spirit.
Didn't Boeing buy Spirit?
Spirit Aerosystems, not Spirit Airlines.
Oh shit, they got me.
All right, no. Boeing struck a plea deal with the DOJ. They're going to pay a fine. This is for the 737 Max stuff from a few years back. So,
in fact, they wouldn't be allowed to buy Spirit Airlines. Right?
No way.
That would be antitrust.
No way.
It shows you how dumb I am. I looked at that and I was like, wow.
That would never go through.
Always getting in the airline business. The shittiest of the airline businesses, which can't be worse than the good airline business, But I guess I was wrong. All right, they got me.
These guys are selling broken airplanes to their customers. You can't let them buy their customers.
True. Fair enough. All right, my bad.
You hate on budget airlines like Spirit, but you conveniently ignore the fact that Europe's budget airline is doing very well.
Which one's the Europe budget airline?
That's Ryanair.
Ryanair is doing great. Shout out to my fellow Irishmen out there.
But that's the Spirit Airlines of Europe.
Dude,
Isn't
Ryanair,
it?
man.
Is it? I don't know. I have no idea.
Dude,
Chad, help us out.
I don't
Isn't
know what the
Ryanair like
hell's
the
going
Spirit
on in
Airlines of
Ireland,
Europe?
man. But these guys got their airlines on lock. What's the
think it's
what's the
that
Irish
expensive.
airline? What's the other one? Not Ryanair, the other one.
What are you ranting about?
Oh my god, it's so good. It's the best airline because some of these like Alitalia is like the worst airline on the planet, right?
Ah.
Like you're signing up for them to lose all your shit. What's the one in Ireland? It's such a great airline. I love it so much.
Wait,
What's the name of it?
Ryanair was the airline where the CEO proposed an idea.
Aer Lingus.
Okay.
Aer Lingus. What a great airline.
Ryanair was the one where the CEO said, "What if we got rid of the bathrooms on the plane?"
Are you serious? That's pretty good.
Nice. Nice. Dude, but how many look at, but he's right. We're laughing here, but he's absolutely right. Look at Ryanair. In fact, I talked about it in the conference call last week.
Yeah, I know.
When was the last time I brought up an airline in the conference call?
Wasn't SkyWest too? All right.
Dude,
Anyway.
Ryanair. Shout out to the Irish. They say Cubans are the Irish of the Caribbean.
All right.
Here we go.
Couple more things, just real quick. I think we have the Paramount chart. The story's over. Finally, we can stop talking or reading about this damn Paramount and their damn mergers and acquisitions. And so they are getting acquired. David Ellison and his firm are buying Paramount. It's a complicated deal. I think $23 is going to be the actual takeout price for anyone that owns PARAA. That's the Class A shares. Class B shares is going to be a different price, obviously. But
if I understand this shit show correctly, they were trying to sell themselves.
Trying and then not trying and then trying again. It's endlessly confusing. The saga stopped being fun a year ago.
So whoever's running this company, how are there not going to be shareholder lawsuits? Like whenever you sell a company at all-time lows, typically getting class action suits. I just think this is terrible. Why not sell yourselves during the COVID peak or the COVID peak when the stock's trading near $100?
This company's gone through so many reorgs.
You wait for
they know
drawdown and then scramble to sell your company.
Yeah,
I don't know. Streaming, what a business.
Well, it's not just streaming, right? It's a movie studio. Let's not forget that.
Even worse.
Well, we can debate that maybe.
I heard the Minions hit big in the box office. Despicable 4 is like breaking records.
Don't know.
Yeah.
All right, that was pretty much it for my list. There was a biotech transaction today. Eli Lilly is acquiring Morphic MORF, $57 a share in cash. And as far as headlines go, that was pretty much it.
I saw an interesting one from Exxon that stood out. Stock's not moving on it, but said Monday changes in oil prices would increase the major's second quarter upstream earnings by 300 to 700 million.
Yeah. Speaking of Exxon, I know a bunch of operations down there are kind of bracing for that hurricane that just made landfall down in Houston area. So keeping an eye out for that. And
here for anybody who's asking or cares about my health and wellness and well-being and safety, no hurricane.
Good.
Hurricane Florida.
As usual, the hurricane doesn't come.
It went to Jamaica.
Shout out Jamaica.
And then last one I had was car sales in China fell for the third month in a row in June. So about a 7% year-over-year decline in car sales. Interestingly enough, though, almost half of China's new car sales are for EVs, which I thought was interesting. A lot of EVs there, apparently. So I don't know. That's what I got.
Solar Edge moving on a big upgrade this morning. Yeah, there's not much going on.
You want to do some recess?
Hit it, Spencer.
Yeah.
So I saw a video the other day, and I'm definitely going to try it. They took the Alaskan king crab, which in my opinion is the best crab. I know this is blasphemy in South Florida that swear it's the stone crabs. I love stone crabs. It's just not as good as a king crab. The guy got the drill like a drill, like a screw gun drill,
Yeah.
and was drilling holes in the legs, and then using the what's the needle? The marinating needle, right?
Like a baster?
Like but the needle. Yeah, like a baster, but like the needle.
Got
Yeah,
it.
you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Sticking it in the crab legs with like the butter sauce,
Oh,
right?
it was injected with
And then
butter.
throwing the entire king crab in the grill so that it cooks with the herb butter inside the shell because you drilled the hole and squirted it in.
That's amazing.
So my recess here is that I'm going to try that because it
sounds
genius.
So cool, but you don't know how to use a drill, so.
That is bullshit. That is bullshit. I might not use my tools very often, but when I do need a tool, I have it. And I have a brother-in-law who's like good at like things with tools.
Let him do it.
And I called him because I had an issue yesterday.
Yeah.
And he didn't answer. And I figured it out on my own.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Just make sure he's there, like you have some sort of supervision.
Yeah, he's like my guy when it comes to like engines and tools and like all the stuff that I don't know anything about. Like he's my dude.
All right.
So you'll like this one. I went to Louis' Backyard Friday. If you're ever in Key West, it's just the best restaurant. It's hands down the best. Like it. And I would love to say there's like a different one because everybody pretty much knows this one's the best, but it is. It's fantastic. You sit
I
out.
don't think tourists know that. It's not that touristy, is it?
What's hard is once the tourists get to town, it's usually too late for them to get reservations.
Oh, true.
Like we had to make reservations for this. I actually called like earlier last week, and there was a cancellation. We got in, but usually it's like 2 weeks. So I think that's why. But you're right. Like it's a lot of locals. They have a cafe, Louis. Now you can go like up to the top deck. It's the best view in Key West and excellent food. So if you're ever in town, it's called Louis' Backyard. Check it out.
It's right next to the big buoy, the 90 miles to Cuba.
Yeah, it's very close to, like JC's saying, the southernmost point of the continental U.S.
All right.
And listen, I don't necessarily trust Strazza when it comes to cuisine, but I will tell you that he's right in this case.
It's lovely.
It is legit.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's the best restaurant in Key West.
I think hands down.
Has been for a long time, by the way. It's not like a new thing.
I think you're right. Yeah, I would say so.
All right. My recess is more of a PSA, really. If you're not the kind of person that uses Q-tips on a regular basis, which I am not, don't use Q-tips like ever, right?
They hurt my ears. I always like stick them in too far.
Yeah, and what happens, and this happened to me yesterday or Saturday, is they just push it in and it gets stuck.
Yeah,
and then you have to go to urgent care and have them like flush it out for you with like a water gun.
So this happened to you.
This happened. Saturday afternoon, evening, whatever. I lost like half of my hearing in my right ear. I like couldn't hear like because it was like so like impact. The word is impacted. That's like the medical term is impacted, and because it was like packed in there, I guess. I don't know. So I had to go to urgent care on Sunday morning. And actually, it was in both ears, but it was really bad on this one. And they had to like flush it out. And it was not fun.
So as someone who doesn't use Q-tips either, because I'm with you, it's strange. It just doesn't seem like the right tool. How do you clean your ears then?
I guess I just don't forever. Like, I don't know.
Is there another solution for people like you and I would be my question. If anybody knows.
See, I didn't know you could find an ear flush kit at the pharmacy, Josh. Okay. If I had known that, I would have gone to Walgreens and done it myself. But
that's the thing you like pour in your and it comes out your nose like the
no. This is like JC's crab syringe, but for your ear, right? And it like injects warm water and whatever hydrogen peroxide
syringe,
into
that's
your
the
ear.
word I
and
was looking for. Syringe.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Q-tips. Not a fan. Just gonna say it. Not a fan.
Maybe if you were just a little more delicate and would stop being such an animal with your ears, you could still use.
Maybe. So anyway, that's what I got.
Another one of those words, Spencer, like cotton swab, but we call them Q-tips because that's the brand. What's that called?
I don't. Did we say there was a word for that?
There's a word for it. We talked about this last week.
Yeah, well, there was like a word for that.
When you become like a
synonymous with your product. Yeah.
Is that like a double entendre? Is it a dangling
Zamboni?
participle?
Zamboni is one, JC.
It's called verbing.
Zamboni's one, yeah.
It's called verbing.
No, there's a word. There's a word.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Monday, which means we got the Flow Show, Strazza and Sean, right here at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Want to give a quick plug to JC's interview with Gold legend Rick Rule. If you did not see that interview yet, I just dropped the link to get it straight to your inbox in the chat. There it is.
I
Go
don't
check
know
it
that I've
out.
ever gotten such great feedback from an interview in my life.
Yeah, it was good. It was
I
really
didn't
good.
even do anything. I guess that's the point of a good interview, right? Say less.
Yeah, say less. That's
Yeah.
right. All right. Thanks to
We got
David
so
Cox.
many emails, Spencer. It
What?
kind of blew me away just how excited people were about this interview.
And how excited you were. Yeah. It shone through. It was,
You could tell I was a gold bug back in the day.
yeah.
It was oozing out of me.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Smash the like.
Everybody.
Go make some money. We'll see you.
YOLO responsibly.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs.